I once read that discussion is an exchange of knowledge, argument an exchange of ignorance. You know that as a facilitator, it's important to be able to effectively conduct these discussions. So if you want to learn how to help your participants exchange knowledge and avoid ignorance, then stay tuned to Leading Effective Group Discussions. In this video, we're going to explore a model for facilitating effective group discussions, including a way to select leaders using humor. We'll also learn how to help your learners make the transition from discussion to real-life application. Let's start by defining what effective group discussions really are. An effective group discussion is simply a process of engaging your participants in quality discussions and then helping them to apply the learning to real-life situations. Our role as a facilitator is to impress them with how much they know, not how much we know. And when given the chance, people learn a great deal from each other. Group discussions can be in large group or in small group form, but generally you go through the following steps: activity, discussion, and application. The activity step is where you actually have the participants do something either in a large group or in small groups or even individually. And by the way, you don't have to have an activity in order to have a group discussion. However, if you do conduct an activity, then you should always follow it up with some form of discussion and application. Now, since conducting effective activities is covered under another topic, which you should be watching anyway, we won't cover that here. Let's jump right into the discussion step. With the discussion step, there are two parts to it. One is before, and two is during. Let's take a look at what should happen before you begin the discussion. Before you start, it's important to select a discussion leader for that small group. Here's a simple and fun and quick way to do this. Let me model it for you. Everyone raise your hand. And at the count of 3, I want you to point to the person that you think might be hoarding money under their mattress or you think has the most secrets. Ready? 1, 2, 3, point. Good. The person with the most hands pointing at you is a new discussion leader. Anything fun is going to do, as long as it just takes the pressure off of them for selecting the leader based on popularity. Now remember, if you have more than one small group, have each small group select their own leader. Next, you need to give good, clear instructions on what the expectations are. For example, tell the leaders it's their responsibility to monitor his or her time and make sure everyone is participating. Tell them how long the discussion is going to last, how much time they have. Tell them if there's going to be more than one round or just this round. Tell them what you expect them to prepare, to report out, if anything. And then tell them you're going to monitor time and give them warnings on how much time is left. Okay, now let's look at during the discussion. During the discussion, you want to wander around and listen to some of the conversations. Make sure everyone is participating. You want to be careful not to hover over them. It's better to kneel down or squat down next to them and get on their same eye level. It's less intimidating that way. Watch your time. Use a stopwatch, a clock, or a timer. This will help your participants remember that you're timing them. And you may need to stop them and redirect them if they get off task. Make sure you give them a 1-minute warning before time is up. This will force them to make sure they finish on time and not be surprised when you cut them off. You can also give them more time if you see the discussion is really fruitful. Okay, the application step. This step is where you help the participants make the transition from theory to real-life application with their findings. There are 2 stages to this step. Number 1 is debrief. That's on what they've learned. Number 2 is application of the learning to real life. Often we don't give adequate time for this step. This is really a frequent error because this step is the most important part of the discussion group activity. Okay, the debrief. First, let's discuss the debrief. Here are some tips for an effective debrief. Number 1, Clearly identify ahead of time what the key points are you want to make sure are uncovered, and then prepare some open-ended questions to drive that discussion. For example, if you're discussing a new product, you might want to assure that the key benefits are being discussed. And if you're discussing a skill, you want to make sure that the reason behind the skill is being mentioned. Number 2, thank each participant after their contribution while maintaining eye contact. Be careful not to praise one more than the other. Number 3, use a round-robin method when conducting your debrief. The round-robin method is where you give each small group or individual an opportunity to share just a little bit. Then move to another small group or individual and continue to go around and around till each group or individuals have had an opportunity to share. This allows them the feeling that they've equally contributed to the debrief discussion. All right, number 4, handle unexpected learning appropriately. You see, sometimes we learn things not related to the content that's being discussed. If someone gives you something that's not related, thank them for it and make sure you help them apply it to real life, even if you have to ask for elaboration on that topic. Now, if by some chance you get someone that's giving you something just to be disruptive, well, that's another issue, and we cover that in another video called Handling Disruptive and Overactive Participation. Make sure you watch that. Now that you've had your debrief, it's time for the application to real life. It's critical that we help participants link this theory during the discussion to real-life application. The key to doing this is in questioning. Asking the participants to think of real-life situations where learning can be applied and then describe those situations. This encourages them to think about real life. All right, here's some tips. Number 1, make the participants write down the things they've learned. Number 2, ask them to think about real-life situations they can apply these in and write those down. Number 3, make them pair and share, either with a partner or outwardly with you if it's a small group, maybe even in their small group. In other words, make sure everyone shares their applications. Number 4, accountability. It's important that they be held accountable for this because this forces them to think about their daily lives and commit all their learning into action. You know, if they're having a hard time in small groups, you might want to provide some variety and change it up a bit. Do the same activity with all the participants as one group, with you making the application for them. Sometimes you're going to get a participant that will make application during the debrief, and that's okay. It's a good thing when that happens. But make sure you don't skip the application step anyway, because everyone needs to think about this, not just the one who already made the transition. There you have it. The secret of conducting effective discussions is in 3 simple steps: the activity, discussion, and application. And the key to making real-life application is to ask questions and encourage your participants to share the situations where their learning applies. Remember, accountability is important because without it, it's just too easy to write it down in a notebook and forget about it. We hope you've enjoyed this video session, and don't forget to download the resources that are associated with this video. There are also a number of other tips for you as well. And make sure you complete the activities. They're designed to help you put your newfound knowledge to use. We look forward to seeing you next time, and until then, good luck and enjoy your next facilitation.